that question, because the answer to that question is a lot deeper than just looking at it from the perspective of HIV. When we talk about prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, it goes down to our maternal health care in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have one of the worst maternal health outcomes globally. We're probably one of the countries where many women die just giving life. And the reason why I say it's a lot deeper is it goes down to the primary healthcare system that we have in the country. When a woman is pregnant, the first port of call for that woman should be at the primary healthcare level. Why am I saying this? Because it's at the primary healthcare stage that when she's pregnant, she will get screened for, the usual tests you have as a woman, your high blood pressure, your urine, and you'll also get tested for HIV. So the failure of our country to have a strong, robust primary health system is the first point at which we fail many mothers, because that's the point at which these things would be addressed. So the screening for HIV for a pregnant woman would have been done or should be done at the primary healthcare level. So it's not something that we can say there's an emergency immediate response to. The bigger question goes back to how is our health sector catering for the needs of the country. And maternal health is, if anything, the proxy of how as a country we prioritize health. Because until we start caring for women at that first stage when they're pregnant, we will see all of these outcomes, because that also translates to immunization. It translates to sexual reproductive health. What access does she have to sexual reproductive health services and commodities? So the story or the immediate response to prevention of mother-to-child transmission comes back down to how are we funding and strengthening our primary healthcare system, which at that stage is where every mother would go when she's pregnant to get all the necessary screening she has, high blood pressure, everything else that that is required. So I think this discussion and the funding freeze has really highlighted that health, as we saw with COVID, is the fulcrum around which every economy is built. And until we start prioritizing and funding it adequately for the Nigerian people, we will keep on seeing all of these outcomes. Just very quickly, we were talking about vaccine manufacturing. Why are we not manufacturing vaccines? I'll go back to a comment you made about the number of deaths of Lassa fever. We've had Lassa fever in the country for over 50 years. There's been no viable vaccine, and there still is no viable vaccine. However, we have organizations like the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, CEPI, who are funding vaccine R&D, research and development in Nigeria. And parts of that is we can't just wake up tomorrow and just start manufacturing vaccines. There's a whole ecosystem that has to go around it. How are we funding our education sector to produce sciences, to produce scientists? How are we funding our research institutions to even build their research capacity to get us to a stage of even producing vaccines? So I think, the holistic answer is not just why are we not producing vaccines. There's a lot more that goes into producing vaccines, because vaccines are biologics, and it's a lot more complicated than, for instance, just manufacturing paracetamol, which we're able to do. So this is a bigger discussion around how are we building the science infrastructure, the ecosystem that will enable us as a country to produce vaccines, the research, the manufacturing capacity. There's so much more that goes into it than just asking, why can't we just produce vaccines on its own? Thank you.